Now, when I say the word control, what comes to mind? Probably nothing good, right? Most of us don't have all the positive vibes when we think about that word. Why? Because who wants to be controlled? Nobody. And who wants to be told what to do? Again, I say nobody.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? Adam here, and it is so good to see you guys. We miss your faces so much. Let me start this video off by saying Happy New Year. Can't believe that 2021 is here. I mean, how crazy is that? And it's our hope that 2021 is going to be way better than what 2020 ever was. And I just want to say welcome to F1oorOneTV. We are a community of passionate people who want to invest in each other. We just believe that when we do something together, it is so much bigger than ourselves. That's why F1oorOneTV is so much more than just videos. It's an experience that is meant to inspire you, to encourage you, and to challenge you in your life. So, hey, thanks for watching us every single week. If you've been tuned in from the beginning, we appreciate your views and we appreciate you being a part of this community. And if this is your first time checking us out, we just want to invite you to hit that subscribe button so every time we drop new content, you're going to be the first to know. Now stay tuned, because January is normally the month that we make it to snow camp. But this year, unfortunately, we're not going to be taking that 6.5-hour trek up north to Circle C. So we decided that we would try to do the next best thing, and we're going to bring Circle C to you on your screen. That's right, this whole month, all of the messages are going to be done by Circle C staff. It's going to be absolutely incredible. You get all the people from Circle C without having to go out in the cold and be frozen, without having to stay up super late, without having to lose your voice, unless nobody has more vibes, more moods, more emotions that seem to control everything they do than students. And listen, it's okay to feel all those feels. But the problem comes when those moods become the motivators that drive your actions and your thoughts. That's why in this series, we're gonna dive deep into all of those feelings, all of those moods that seem to drive our actions. And we're gonna try to answer this question. How do you get control of your vibes instead of letting your vibe control you?
What's up, everybody? Hello, West Virginia. It is so great to see you guys. Just kidding. Clearly can't see you. But it is really good to greet you from snowy Western New York. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Josh. I help run everything here at Circle C. And this month, you guys are talking about vibes. And it makes sense for me to be here because whenever you guys show up, whenever West Virginia comes to Circle C Ranch, all of us here, nothing but good vibes. No bad vibes. Good vibes. We love you guys. We love it when you show up. We love it when you come hang out because you guys are awesome. So keep it up. Keep being awesome. But like I said, we're talking about vibes this month. And I'm going to say a word, and a lot of bad vibes are associated with it. But I want to know what you guys think. You got to think of what you think of when I say the word control. Who likes control? Probably everybody to a certain extent, but who likes to be controlled? Well, not as many people. I mean, that's why entrepreneurship is such a big thing right now, right? Everybody wants to make their own hours. Everybody wants to be their own boss. They don't want the man telling them what to do. And, I understand that. It makes sense, But one activity I do that I like to have complete control over is flying my drone. And I know Alex flies drone. Maybe some of you guys fly drone. I don't know. It's basically like a remote control car that goes up and down. And it makes sense that you would want full control because when you're flying it, sometimes above people, sometimes above big landscapes, you want to be able to control that thing. And for the most part, you have complete control. But every now and then, the drone tries to tell you that you don't have control. One time, this happened to me. I was in Poland. I was filming a vlog. It's my first time flying a drone in another country. I was on a missions trip, and I wanted to fly like 360 all around this huge church. And it was an older drone. This is actually the controller from it. And I tried to fly all the way around, and it kept telling me that if I did that, I was going to lose signal. I'll be fine. Clearly, I know how to fly a drone. And it gave me the option to override the system. And on the screen, there was literally like a fingerprint. Like I was like putting my fingerprint to like certify the override. Isn't so cool? So I did it. I'm like, I'm overriding the system. I have complete control. And so then I went and I did my flight around the church. And sure enough, as soon as the whole church was in between me and the drone, lost signal. Just lost connection. It's returning home. I've never done this before. I don't know if this works. And I like totally lost signal, and it didn't like have a come home option for some reason. I probably just didn't set it up because I just wanted to get it up in the air fast, you know. But anyways, it just was like static. It was just like lost control of drone. That's a terrifying thing, especially when you're in a foreign country where people don't speak English as their first language. And I certainly don't speak Polish. And so immediately I'm just like, this could fly and hit a person in the head. This could land on somebody's car. This could go on an apartment. It's terrifying to think of where this drone could go. So I start sprinting. I just start running towards the drone. I'm just like, I gotta catch this thing. Where the heck is it? Maybe I can catch it in the... And so soon enough, my controller said, returning to controller. The drone was returning to me, and I'm like looking around, where could it be? And what had happened is when it lost control, it went straight up. Why is that a setting? Don't know. But it went... And so then all of a sudden, it's like the clouds were parting and I saw my drone returning to me and I was like, but that's what happened. I wanted complete control and I got it and I didn't know what to do with it. One thing that controls all of us, whether we like it or not, is our emotions, right? They can get under our skin and just control us. And think about it. There's probably an emotion for you. Maybe it's anger. Maybe somebody says something. It's just like, all right, keep that twisted tea can away from me. Otherwise, I'm going to pop this guy in the head. And then maybe it's not anger. Maybe you're totally cool. But maybe it's lust. And you see in a picture, and then all of a sudden the emotions start rolling, and before you know it, you're sinning, right? It could be any of these emotions. They take control. They start to take control. And now, at this point in your life, maybe you've learned how to monitor those emotions, and then you realize, oh, man, when somebody says something like that, it normally makes me really mad. I got to take 5. I got to cool off. Well, I have really good news. Because of Jesus, we can do way more than just monitor our emotions. Because of Jesus, emotions don't have to be the boss of you. And I think that sounds appealing to all of us, but let's find out why, right? Let's find out why that is the truth. And so we're going to read in Mark chapter 7. So in Mark chapter 7, you guys can start turning there now, and then we will read together. But the Pharisees are talking to Jesus. Now, if you've read any of the Gospels, you know the Pharisees are always ragging on Jesus. Now, the Pharisees are super religious. They follow a set of rules that isn't even in the Bible. They just made up their own rules because they're that religious. And then if you don't follow their rules, they just like rip on you, basically. And so that's what's happening here. So we're going to be in Mark chapter 7, verse 5 is where we're going to start. The Pharisees say this: "Why don't your disciples live according to the tradition of the elders instead of eating their food with defiled hands?" Ugh, just the way they say it. Just like, oh, I want to punch them. So basically what they're saying is, why don't your disciples live according to the tradition of the elders? Now, what you need to understand is there's basically 2 sets of rules. So there's the rules that have been passed down from generation to generation orally, and this is the tradition of the elders. These are the rules that they made up. And they're just like, this seems like a good thing. And evidently washing your hands is one of them. And so basically, the Pharisees are saying, why aren't you washing your hands? That's petty. And then the other set of rules is what we have as the Torah, or the Old Testament. And that has been meticulously passed down by scribes, so that what we have today in our Bible is actually what was given to Moses in the wilderness. Pretty awesome, pretty crazy. But sometimes these 2 rules don't exactly line up. And sometimes there's disagreements between the rules. And what are you going to believe? That's what you got to figure out. And that's kind of what was happening here. The Pharisees are accusing Jesus of breaking the law, which is the law, but not really the law. And so Jesus he always just cuts through their crap. And this is what he says. He says this in verses 6 and 7. And he brings up Isaiah because they respect Isaiah, because Isaiah was a prophet, like the OG prophet. I mean, they love this guy. So Jesus pulls from Isaiah because he knows they'll listen. So Isaiah says, Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you hypocrites. Woo! As it is written, these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. They worship me in vain. Their teachings are merely human rules. It's like Isaiah knew he was writing to these guys. That's exactly it. That's why it's so important for us to know the Bible, that we can just pull things that are so applicable and that are so true, right? Really important that we do that. But then he says in verse 8, you have let go of the commands of God and are holding on to human traditions. Bang, 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 bang. It's exactly it. There's the rule from God, and then there's the rules from man. And they've let go of the rules of God and they just focused on the rules of man, which they're not even that important, right? But this is the way it actually still is in lots of Jewish circles. So I went to Israel, and on the Sabbath, you're not supposed to work. And that's the law, right? You're not supposed to work. It's the day of rest. But the human traditions have built on that you can't do like anything. And I went to a Shabbat dinner, and I was in a house, and I went to the bathroom and I turned off the light, thinking nothing of it. That's what you do when you leave a room, right? Wrong. Because on the Sabbath, they are not even allowed. Tradition says they're not even allowed to turn on the light because that's work. I know it sounds crazy, but that's kind of what Jesus was dealing with here. It's just like these people that are just hanging on to these rules that aren't necessarily rules, right? It's just like a big mess, and they are really just being very legalistic about this, and they're just trying to catch Jesus. And so then Jesus gets on his soapbox, and this is stinking awesome. This is verse 14 and 15. Jesus says, listen to me, everyone, and understand this. Nothing outside of a person can defile them by going into them. Rather, it is what comes out of a person that defiles them. This is huge. This is monumental. This is why emotions don't have to be the boss of you. This is it right here. Because what Jesus says is it doesn't matter what comes into you. It doesn't matter what circumstances are in your life. It doesn't matter what terrible things have happened to you. What matters is what comes out of you. That's what defiles you. It doesn't matter if you don't wash your hands before you eat. What matters is if you hurt somebody else by the hurtful things that you're saying. What comes out of you. And when I was in community college, my one English professor, she would always say, this was like every day I feel like she said this. It was hurt people. It's just the way it is. Somebody gets hurt, they're going to hurt somebody else. I thought about it. I was like, I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Why wouldn't it? Yeah. And then I was like, oh yeah, the gospel. Hurt people, but forgiven people love people. That's the whole thing. That's what God calls us to. God calls us to love one another. And it doesn't matter, get this, it doesn't matter what is happening on the outside. What matters is what's happening on the inside. And Jesus even says this later on in Mark 7, verse 21. He says, for it is from within, out of a person's heart, that evil thoughts come. Evil thoughts don't come from these terrible things that are happening. Evil thoughts are a choice. And when we choose to give in to evil thoughts, that's where evil emotions come from. That's where bad vibes come from. When we are allowing these thoughts to brew in us, then we will deal with anger. We will have to deal with sadness. We'll have to deal with jealousy, with FOMO. You see all this awesome stuff happening, like, man, I wish I was there, and then you get all angry and stuff about it. That's what happens when you let evil thoughts. We have to understand that we were never meant to be the boss of us. We have to understand that. And now you're probably wondering, Josh, I thought this whole thing was about how I'm going to take control of my life. The only way to truly take control of your life and find satisfaction is when you let Jesus be the boss. And Jesus is a way better boss than you. He just is. And how do I know? Well, he kind of tells us. He tells us in several places, but a couple I want to point out is in Matthew 11:28. He says, come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Jesus is the boss. He's dispensing the rest. He knows what we need. He's way better at knowing our needs than we are. He's way better than knowing our needs than the world is, right? There's so many different commercials, so many different companies that are going to tell you what your needs are, but they don't know. Jesus does. And another verse is John 14:27. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. Do you want freedom? Do you want peace? The only way to receive those things is when we allow Jesus to have control, when we allow Jesus to be the boss. And only then are we going to be freed from our emotions. But we do have to understand something, and you have to understand this. There are emotions that are going to give you problems. And for some of you, you know what they are already, right? You know that you deal with loneliness, you know you deal with anger, right? You've been thinking about it this whole time. You still have to make the choice not to internalize that. You do. Jesus is going to give you the peace, he's going to give you the strength, but you have to make the choice. And it's not easy. And we got to understand that. It's not easy. But there are ways that the Bible lays out for us to be able to deal with it. And one of those ways is through accountability. So what you need to do, and you need to do this like today. Maybe you don't really struggle too much with emotions right now, but you might, right? And somebody else might. And you need to come alongside of them. And you guys need to be honest with each other and have real conversations and say, hey, I struggle with anger. I have a hard time dealing with my anger sometimes. And I need you, you're talking to a friend, I need you to help me keep an eye on that. So pick a couple of emotions and pick a friend and say, hey, can you just watch? I'm really trying to deal with this. But if you ever see me lose my temper or you ever see me be way more sad than I need to be, can you just call me out on that? Because I need accountability. I want you to think, just imagine if you did this for you and you didn't allow emotions to control. You didn't allow your circumstances to control your reactions. And you allowed Jesus to be the boss of you and provide you exactly what you needed. What would your life look like? It looks pretty good, probably. All right. Just imagine if everybody in North did this, right? Well, imagine if every single person got serious about not letting their circumstances affect them and just truly letting Jesus be the boss of them and their emotions. Imagine what kind of church you guys would have. It'd be amazing. It already is amazing. It would be even better. What you need to understand is that your vibes are your choice. You're giving out vibes, and you're going to be giving out vibes. Either good vibes, bad vibes, but they are your choice. Thanks so much for listening, guys. We will see you real soon, hopefully. I don't know when, but hopefully soon. Bye.
All right, yeah, that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you, Circle C, for the message, and thank you guys for watching. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. Now, if you're on YouTube, you'll notice an icon at the top right, and if you would, click on that so you can see our other videos. We're glad you guys came to our channel, and if you have the time, please subscribe. If you have a video idea, just let us know in the comments. See you next time.